Hey guys, alright, so we're going to have a little change of plans today and we're going to do a little video for notes today. Unfortunately, I got the phone call that my son is sick at school, and so I had to go home and take him home. So I am going to talk to you guys today about percent of change. These notes should be pretty simple, and then you'll have a practice to do and we'll go over it again on Monday. Okay, so when we talk about percent of change, we're looking at the percent of increase or decrease. So in this box you'll see it says a percent of change is a ratio that tells how much an amount has increased or decreased in relation to the original amount. If the original quantity is increased, it's a percent of increase. If the original quantity is decreased, it's a percent of decrease. And so right here is where it shows us how we're going to find percent of change. We're going to take the amount of the increase or decrease and we're going to divide it by the original amount. And so when we find that amount of increase or decrease, we have to take our original amount and we're going to subtract the new amount. And that tells us the amount of increase or decrease. And so when I look at example 1, if the original is 22 inches and my new is 16 inches, first let's look at, is that an increase or a decrease? Because my original is 22 and I go down to 16, that means I'm going to decrease. So we're going to write decrease. And then we're going to subtract. So I'm going to take my original and I'm going to subtract my new. So I'm going to take my original of 22 and I'm going to subtract 16. So how much, what was my amount of decrease? Well, 22 minus 16 is 6. And then I'm going to divide it by my original amount. So what I started with was 22. So when I take 16 divided by 22 in my calculator, it's going to give me 0.2727, so on and so forth. So when I move that decimal 2 times, I'm going to get 27 point. The 7 makes my 2 go up to a 3, so it's 27.3%. When I look at number 2, my original is 815, and I go up to 925, which means that's going to be an increase. And so I'm going to go ahead and subtract. When you subtract, it doesn't necessarily always have to be original minus new. Just take the bigger one and subtract the smaller one. So in this case, I'm going to do 925 minus 815. So that amount of increase is $110. And I'm going to divide it by my original, which is 815. When I divide that, I'm going to end up with 13.5%. So it's a 13.5% increase. Taking a look at number 3, I'm going from 198 pounds to 112 pounds. So this is my original, this is my new. So it's a decrease. So we're going to subtract to find my amount of decrease, 198 minus 112. So my amount of decrease is 86. Then I can divide by my original amount, $198. So when I divide that, I'm going to get 43.4%. Looking at number 4, I'm going from 55 to 217. So is that an increase or is that a decrease? If I'm going from 55 to that means it's an increase. And I'm going to find my amount of increase. So I'm going to take 217 and subtract my 55. So that amount of increase is 162. And I'm going to divide by the original, which is 55. And I end up getting 2.9454. Well, I have to move that decimal point to make it a percent. Can I increase by 4.5%? Sure, look at that. That more than doubled. It almost tripled, correct? Going from 55 to 217. So that's why my answer would be 294.5%. That one's kind of messy, sorry. Kind of doing this hurried. All right, so looking at number 5. Last year, 2,376 people attended the rodeo. This year, attendance was 2,950. So we went from last year, 2,376, to 2,950. So that's going to be an increase. How much did it increase by? So we're going to take our 2950 and we're going to subtract 2376 and we get 574. Now I'm going to divide to find my percent. So there's my amount of increase or decrease, and then I divide by that original amount, 2376, and I get a 24.2% increase. Okay, last example I'm going to do with you. Bethany's grade on the first math exam was 94. Her grade on the second exam was 86. We're going to round to the nearest whole percent. We want to find the percent of increase. Not how many percentage points it increased by, the percent of increase. And so we started at 94 and we went to 86. So would that be an increase or a decrease? It would be a decrease. So I'm going to take 94 minus 86 and I get 8. And I go to my original number, which is 94, and I divide by the original. And so 8 divided by 94 gives me 0.0851. So when I move it 2 times, it says round to the nearest whole percent. So that means it's going to be that 5 makes my 8 go up to a 9% decrease. Okay. All right, so on the next page, I want you to complete the exercises 1 through 5. Complete those. I want you to pause this while you complete it. Once you're done, go ahead and hit play again, and then you can go ahead and work on the practice. So right now, pause the video, complete 1 through 5. When you're done, hit play again, and I will show you the answers. Okay, so you should have finished that practice, or those exercises 1 through 5. So number 1, we would take our original minus the new, subtract that, we end up with a decrease of 68.8%. Number 2, we have an increase of 25%. Number 3, we have a decrease of 47.5%. Number 4, we have an increase of 12.5%. And number 5, we have an increase of 72.7%. And so if you missed any of those, you need to pause it. You need to really look at where you're going wrong. Okay? All right, if you got all those right, then you're ready to move on to the practice. So if you look at the next page, here's your practice. You've got 1 through 12 on the front, and you have some word problems on the back, 1 through 8. And so those are all percent of change. You're going to take your amount of increase or decrease and divide by the original amount, and that gives you your percent of increase or decrease. Okay, so that needs to be done for Monday. Make sure you're also working on your ALEKS topics. Have a great weekend, guys.